What the hell happened to My Hero Academia? Back in its day, MHA was an absolute Goliath of a title. It was so hyped and more than deserved the praise, but something changed along the way. What happened to it? Don't get me wrong, My Hero Academia is still a huge title and a very popular one at that, but something is definitely very different about it now. Sure, the series has had its inconsistencies, the movies are very hit and miss with the fans, and Horikoshi has made some interesting decisions with his series, but My Hero Academia is still as good as it has ever been, right? Well, no actually. I'm a lifelong fan of My Hero Academia and I still thoroughly enjoy the series. When a new manga chapter comes out, I can't wait to read it. It's my favourite from the shonen lineup, that's for sure. So I've always put My Hero Academia's air quotes downfall down to the fact that people didn't like it just because it was popular. However, something happened recently that changed my mind. So I was trying to find something to watch on Netflix, and you know how it starts to play a clip of the show that you're hovering over? Well, I was hovering over MHA, and then this clip began to play.
Young man, you too can become a hero.
This one clip took my breath away as it brought back the memories of just how special this series was. When My Hero Academia's anime came out in 2016, it was huge. Superheroes were everywhere thanks to Marvel movies, so an anime about superheroes and superpowers was bound to be popular. But it wasn't just the theme that made it big. My Hero Academia did so many things right. The fights in the show were amazing, like I still get chills thinking about All Might beating the USJ No move. The whole build-up was bruh. It was the I am here entrance. The stakes were high, how he can't let the world know his power is depleting and then he goes plus freaking ultra to win. Cinema. Absolute cinema. You then have the UA Sports Festival, which was a tournament arc done absolutely right, and it really showcased what these quirks can do in battle. And then you had All Might versus All for One. That again was another high stakes fight that delivered on all fronts. It left me like kid freaking Deku hyping at my screen while a Tanai announcement was saying, yo bro, there's a cleanup on aisle 3. Those fights weren't just exciting, they were like a roller coaster of emotions. My Hero Academia didn't just bring the action, it also had great story and lots of feels too. Now, I don't know where you stand on Deku as a protagonist, but in those early seasons, if you gave me a scene of him pushing beyond his limits, going plus ultra with Yusei Run playing in the background, bro, that gave me butterflies in my stomach. I was rooting for him, I wanted him to win, not just in a fight, but I wanted Deku to win at life. From quirkless dreamer to the story of how I became the greatest hero. Yes. My Hero Academia did so many things right, but there was one thing that made people fall in love with it. MHA created this super interesting world where everyone is born with quirks, which basically decide their whole life. For many, they wanted to become heroes, but for some, the quirk they were born with had them shunned from society, turning them into villains. Now there's also this middle ground, and that was shown by Stain. He thought the hero world was messed up, with heroes more interested in fame than actually helping people, so he wanted to get rid of those fake heroes. Stain's story made MHA different. It showed us what the world of superpowers would really look like in our present time, and then you've also got characters like Endeavor who added to this theme too. These two characters took us from a light and fun series about superheroes to exploring the darker, grittier side of superpowers. However, My Hero Academia seemed to have lost its way. With My Hero Academia, it got caught up in some of the traps, and it lost its unique take on superheroes, turning it into a typical power-focused shonen show. But that original idea didn't disappear entirely. We still see glimpses of it, like Endeavor's character development and with other characters like Gentle Criminal showcasing the cruel world of superheroes. But that special magic of MHA seemed to fade after seasons 1, 2, and 3. Season 4 was an interesting one. It was the overhaul arc, and there was a lot of hype in the build-up to this, but fans were met with many highs and lows. The highs were that this arc was awesome overall, and it had some of the most most epic fights in the series in there, but mixed in with that was also a lot of inconsistency. Some of those fights just weren't up to the series standards. You know, you've got Deku versus Overhaul, that was peak MHA, whereas Mirio versus Overhaul, well, that was basically a slideshow of nothing, right? The UA School Festival arc didn't win over all the fans either. While I enjoyed this arc for Gentle and La Brava's story, a lot of people didn't care for it and they really didn't like Class 1A doing those school things. For many, they had lost that magic that My Hero Academia once produced. Others did love it and thought it was great, and some were 50-50 but were still willing to give it a chance. So Season 5 rolls around, and other than giving us that trademark first episode filler that has to remind everyone what Class 1A's quirks are, even though we are 5 seasons deep at that point, it then gives us, Class 1A versus Class 1B. Combine that with the swap around of arcs in this season, and a lot of people just couldn't handle the inconsistency. Many people felt like MHA lost its spark. And now, it's not just the anime, the manga has its ups and downs too, which can be frustrating for fans. There are some really great parts in the manga, like Darby and Endeavor's story, and you've got the Vigilante Deku arc, that was great, but then there's stuff like the Star and Stripes arc, which many fans really hated. The current arc, the final arc, also has its inconsistencies, so you never know what to expect each week. Which MHA is going to turn up is the feeling I get. Now, of course, I won't say too much about the manga to avoid spoilers for the anime onlys, but a lot of the same issues people have with the anime, they show up in the manga too, leaving a lot of fans frustrated, but this tends to be the case when a series becomes as popular as this. You really can't please everyone. Now, another nosedive for My Hero Academia comes in the form of its movies. My Hero Academia's movies haven't been a hit with everyone, that's for sure. Listen, I like them, but I'm pickier about these than I am with the main series. The first movie, Two Heroes, that got me super excited. I even went to the cinema to see it, and I thought it was pretty cool, but after that, I didn't really rush to see the others in theaters. The second movie, Heroes Rising, I just waited for that to become available on streaming services, but I did watch it as soon as it dropped. With that movie, I enjoyed aspects of it, but the shenanigans at the end, well, I know fans are on the fence with this part for sure, but I was on the I don't really like this side, and it kind of put me off the movies going forward. So much so that I was hesitant about watching World Heroes Mission, and I might even skip the new one coming out where All Might's evil now. But if you enjoy the movies, that's awesome. And overall, I think there's still a lot to love about My Hero Academia in the anime, manga, and yes, the movies too. Despite the downsides of My Hero Academia, there are plenty of good things about it too. For one, this series still has an anime, and a damn good one at that. There are so many series out there that fans long for a season 2 of, or a continuation. I'm looking at No Game No Life for season 2, and Black Clover for the continuation, of course. As someone who reads the manga as it comes out, I've got to say I still really enjoy the anime, and I think the last season, season 6, was so damn good. Sure, it has its issues, but overall, it was amazing. Studio Bones has been animating MHA since its first season, and though there are those that like to pick out on specific frames for looking off because they have nothing better to do, the anime looks so good and it's up there with some of the best, and honestly, I'm so super excited to see the next parts of the story on the screen. Now, about the manga, sure, it's not perfect, but it has more good stuff than bad. For one, when MHA pops, it really freaking pops and it gets me so hyped. Secondly, this series has been incredible and I think we will all miss it when it's over, so let's just enjoy what Horikoshi has in store for us and let the guy cook. Talking of cooking, can we all take some time to appreciate the artist that Horikoshi is? Can we talk about his art skills, man? The panels he makes are mind-blowing. The quality of his manga is outstanding. I'd hang his art in my house any day. Well, for one, I actually do. And secondly, forget hanging it up in my house, some of his art needs to be hung in the freaking Louvre. My Hero Academia hasn't fallen off. There is no downfall of this series. It just lost its way a bit. But it always bounces back with moments that remind us why we love it. Like any popular shonen, it has its good and bad times, and people love to talk about that. And speaking of shonen series that's getting people talking at the moment, there is a new one out right now causing a stir among fans. So check out this video to see what that's all about.